So verse 50, we spoke about karma yoga, and this term karma yoga, to modernize it a little bit, it just means living a responsible life. And you have to look at the context of the Gita to understand karma yoga a little bit more. You see, the Gita was not written, 500 years ago or 600 years ago. It was written about, 1,000+ years ago, right? And we had a very different culture back then. We didn't have so much distraction. We didn't have so much social media. We didn't have so many things that kind of took away a lot of things that are right precious to us humanity. It kind of reminds me of a movie called The Gods Must Be Crazy. And one of my favorite movies, actually. And it's where a fella was walking in a safari until a bottle of Coke dropped from a propeller plane. And so he's never seen an object like this in his life. So naturally, he would walk up there and start to inspect this object that was sent to him by the gods. So he thought. So he takes this object back to the tribe, and the tribe are equally fascinated by this Coke bottle. It was a glass Coke bottle. And they start to slowly see different case scenarios that they can use this. Some of the women were using it to make, like, dip it inside some paint, and then they were pressing it against some textile fabric to create some artwork. Some of them were using it as a roller to flatten the dough or whatever they were eating. Some of them were using it, I think, for cracking the coconut. So the functions of this amazing object were undoubtedly helpful, right? They were undoubtedly helpful. It made their life easier, right? But if you've seen the movie, or I'm not saying now go and watch the movie. In fact, it's funny when you say don't go watch the movie, everyone goes and watches the movie, right? So there's no point me saying that at all. So they started to find more and more use from this Coke bottle. So one of the women, they were using it to do some artwork. Now there's another woman who was growing impatient because this woman's been doing artwork all day. So she walks over with some high emotions, and she just grabs this Coke bottle for her own use. And this fella, the original fella who found this Coke bottle, he started to notice some new emotions arising within his tribe that were not there before. So he slowly noticed that this aggravation, this new kind of mine, right? I want to use this for me. It started to grow within the tribe, and it was causing discord within the members until it got so traumatic that some of them, one of them knocked the other one out. So it started off as a useful utility, and now bang on the head as a weapon. So he had to bury this object because on one hand, it was so useful, right? It was such a blessing. But on the other hand, if you kind of look at this whole, how it worked out, was it really a blessing? Considering that it started to create discord within the society, because it's not just within the tribe. If you extend this example to the society, it's the same thing. So you say, did social media really bring us together? Did this sense of easy money really bring us together? Where money is easier to make than ever before? Did transportation, where everyone's got 5 minutes or 10 minutes to drive and you got your shopping mall? Nobody really needs each other, right? It's like you just do your thing, you come home. I don't go to my neighbor, hey neighbor, can I borrow your whatever, your dough or your flour, right? We don't do this. So on one hand, we've gotten all of these utilities, but we've lost something else. So the Gita comes from this early time where it was kind of like this simple time, right? Where you didn't have social media and so many complications. So now you have to bring that into the context of the modern world, where we do have social media, where we do have the Coke bottle, okay? So that's the question here. Otherwise, if we don't, then we're speaking long ago, we're speaking karma yoga, like what's this karma yoga? I'm here in the modern world, therefore we have to make the teaching more applicable to us. So this is why I want to bring this forward. You have to then ask, how do I apply it? Considering karma yoga is to help purify your mind and prime you for being more kind of sensitive, more emotionally composed, more equanimous, peaceful, objective, down to earth, relatable, right? Less isolated, more connected with people, more connected to yourself, a sense of purpose in life, a sense of connection to something larger than just petty things of the mundane things of the world. Okay? So karma yoga brings out two principles that are true back then, are equally true now. And the first one we said was, how do I approach my actions with you? How do you approach your actions with your loved one? How? What is the method by which you conduct yourself in this complex world of social media and Coke bottles? And the answer we said was samanya dharma. Now, samanya dharma in modern language means whenever I do something, whenever I'm called to do something, whenever you are called to do something, is it just a doing? No. Because every time you're called to do something, you have a choice. Either I can just respond how I've responded before. In that case, you get no transformation. Or you can ask yourself, what different can I do this time that I haven't considered last time? You see, we're all looking for transformation, right? Everyone wants transformation. Everyone wants growth. And that's a healthy human trait. And we often talk about growth, something that is isolated, something that you do at home, something that you sort of lock yourself behind closed doors, or with one friend or a second friend or a third friend, or with your wife or your husband or your children. That's where it happens. This is fine. It does bring you some growth. But if you think about it, when are you not participating in the world? Right? When are you not participating in the world? Never. You're always participating in the world. So this means the world is always bringing you that Coke bottle from the sky with which you then have to deal with. So every time the world gives you something, you have an opportunity to say, what different can I do this time? How differently can I respond this time? That's your transformation. Think about this. That is your point of transformation because it's most relevant in that moment. You are asked to do something and you are responding not how you've done it before, but you're responding differently. That means you're actively taking and acknowledging, I have the capacity to do something different. I am intelligent enough to think what needs to be done in this situation and how differently will I reply to what is being offered to me. Nowadays, it's much easier. We got our phones where you can have a nice list of items, what to do in a confrontation. Really simple. What to do when a confrontation comes, how do I deal with this confrontation? Karma Yoga would say, before I reply, I consider the well-being of both you and I, both of us. That's the essence of Samanya Dharma. When I reply, rather than focusing on the performance of my actions in a moment, you focus on, or you can focus on, the long-term vision. What is the long-term vision of this relationship? I'm not saying that's the only way. It's just a different way of thinking about it. Rather than thinking, what best can I do right now? Okay, that's how we're trained, especially in the West. Let's focus on performance. How am I doing? Rather, I can step back and say, what is the long-term vision of this whole entire transaction, of this relationship, whatever you want to call it, transaction, relationship, coming together? What is the long vision of this? And then I reply in response to that. That's what we call samanya dharma, considering the well-being of you and the other person. If it's one, if only one is considered, then dharma becomes very hard. It becomes genuinely hard to do if it's only one-sided approach. That means I will serve the ball and I don't want, and you don't serve the ball back to me. And then out of mere kind of empathy, I keep on serving the ball to you and you're getting your needs met. And I just keep on serving because I'm trying to be a good person, but eventually it's going to wear me out. It's going to wear you out and you're going to feel that. And that's going to come through different forms of communication, as passive aggressiveness, as sarcasm, as when things are not working out well, then some statement is going to come out and it's going to be hurtful. Okay? So whenever you reply to a situation through an email, through a telephone, through whatever, face to face, are you considering the well-being of yourself? That means you're protecting your own needs, your own rights, your own sense of individuality, but also you're including the other person. You're also helping both do this journey together while on earth. You're helping both of you. That's the first one. The second is, as I said, whenever you do get a response, there's not much you can do about that response because it is a response, right? But it is still your chance of transformation because you're given in that moment a chance to respond differently, do something different. If I kept on responding, I don't know, like saying no every time or saying, okay, I'll do that. And then you just sort of end there. Then you can do something different, right? Ask a question or, ask for some connection, and what's the purpose, why, something like that. I don't know. I'm not going to give you an instruction, but do something different. Okay? Therefore, this samanya dharma then becomes an expression. How do you, conduct yourself in this world? And in the Vedas, we have 3 words to help you out. What does it mean to do good for myself and to include the other's well-being? And there are 3 words that answer this. The first one is ahimsa. Ahimsa. Ahimsa means that I minimize the amount of damage before I send that email. So you look at for example, your communication or your delivery style, and then you just kind of read over it, for example, and you say, what is unnecessary? What kind of information is not necessary here? Let me take this out. Is this just fluff? Is just this sharing my own kind of, whatever? Or is there, how can I clean this up a little bit? So you're polishing up your sense of communication, your words, your delivery. This is absolutely possible for every one of us. There's always space to polish up our delivery. Ahimsa. Minimizing the hurtful impact that my delivery can have on you. And if you do make some kind of a delivery, as you will, then you will get feedback. Then again, you have another choice. Now that I've gotten my feedback, again, how do I minimize the hurtful impact of my communication to you? And then again, you get a response. So you work with that. You work with the responses. So that's first ahimsa. The second one is called bharana. B-H-A, bharana, R-A-N-A, bharana. Bharana is that minimizing or minimizing the destruction in any of my actions. So what this means is that, see, it's okay. You can still end things. You can still kind of end the communication. You can still end a bad relationship. You can still end things. But you are avoiding destroying those things that are precious. Bharana means avoiding those things that are valuable and that are precious. I minimize the impact of their, right? I minimize the impact of their disintegration, because sometimes in a communication, we want to end things that don't have a place to be ended. They are actually a good, healthy thread of communication, but we want to end that. So rather than ending it, you sustain those things that are positive and healthy, and end those few things that are unhealthy and not, no longer in the best interest of you and the other. Now, it is up to you to decide or to discern what is no longer in my self-interest and in the interest of the other. It is up to you to decide that. No one can tell you that. It is an art form. You won't really know. But if you do end something, you will get feedback. Okay? For example, sometimes family members don't appreciate you moving forward and taking your different steps in life because it's too scary, too frightening, because they have their own ways and you got your own ways. So you took your own actions, you took your own path with different people, but your family doesn't approve, for example. So in one sense, you have ended a certain kind of a tradition, right? You have ended this whole tradition that I have to do what the society approves of me. I have to do what my parents approve of me. You have, in a sense, ended that. But what you don't end, this is part of bharana, what you don't end is at least you don't end some form of pleasantries, some form of goodness, some form of communication that you have between this person. We don't want to end those good memories that we have with them. We don't want to end those comforts that we have with them. We don't want to end those things that do connect us together. So that I try to preserve. Like in a breakup, right? A breakup can go two ways. I mean, that can go many ways, a million ways, but two ways generally. One of them is you can end the whole thing, including all of the good parts, all of the good, the comforts, the adoration, the admiration, all of that can be ended. So when it's ended, none of that exists. Another way that I can end a relationship with something or whatever it is that I can end those parts that are no longer serving me, but I can walk away with a sense of gratitude for this person having been in my life. This I'm not going to end. Because if I end that, who's going to get hurt? You see this? You will get hurt. Because you're going to walk away with a sense of grudge, a sense of resentment. I don't want to end that. Because I could meet that person in 1 year from now. And if I have a sense of lack of gratitude and I've ended all of that, then it's going to be very awkward, and it's going to remind me what not a very educated dharmic person I am. So you don't want to end those things that are precious, that are valuable, but you can still end things in another way, right? In a way that doesn't serve you anymore. So this is what I want to express. So that's bharana. So the first one is non-hurt, ahimsa. The second one is bharana. That means refusing to end those things that are precious, and sustaining those things that are valuable, that are serving you and the other person. And the next one is prabhava. P-R-A, prabhava. This is where your presence in any situation has some or facilitates some growth opportunity. That means in, suppose, a meeting, right? You come and see your friends. So it's not just sort of a chit chat and, talk about this and that, which is, of course, it's good for comfort building. But in overall, your presence, your words, your communication, your stories, they're not just waffling. They're not just waffles, endless waffles without an ending. There's some conclusion to it. There is some point to it. There is some willingness to form a connection, to understand things, to get to the bottom of some unresolved matters. Prabhava. My presence creates growth opportunities. It facilitates a place where we can both learn, we can both discover something new, And we both walk with some sense of change, some sense of upliftment, where your presence isn't just a random presence, right? Staying in the background. See, this is fine. Like in a social situation, we always see someone just staying in the background, right? And they're not really participating. This is okay. But eventually you got to snap out of this because it is a pattern that's developed for a long time. And it's very comfortable to be in that pattern where I just sort of witness, we call it on the nightclub, the walls. I just witness everyone else having all the fun. And I'm just there in the background doing nothing. This has a place, and I'm not going to judge those personalities. But I also want to say that don't for a moment think that you got nothing to offer. The truth is you have something to offer. So by me just standing on the side wall and just letting everyone else have the conversation, you're really denying yourself your ability to shine. You're denying yourself your greatness. You're denying those people in front of you some connection, and you're also denying yourself the connection. Therefore, Prabhava is a place where I recognize I have something to give, something precious to give, a question, a curiosity. I may not know about your subject of rocket science, but I can ask questions to try to understand how does rocket science work. And don't for a moment think that those people are not going to appreciate your questions. Everyone appreciates questions. So what little does my place in this situation have to give? What little does it have to give? It doesn't matter where you are. That's not the point. The point is not, I don't know this topic. I have no expertise in this topic. The point is, everyone has something to give because you're dealing with fellow human beings. You're not dealing with aliens. In that sense, Prabhava is a place where your presence opens up new questions, opens up new conversations, and everyone has this ability. For some years in high school, there was a time where I think most of us were, right? Very small, not even in high school, maybe primary school. We were very spontaneous, right? We were sort of just free, right? There's no sense of like, I can't or I can. So we were very free. And a lot of kids are like this, right? They can just sing and they can create poetry on the spot. There's no sense of I'm not good enough or I can't do this or, I'm just going to watch all the kids do. I mean, some of them do, and I was one of those kids, right? Who just sort of, was very free-spirited. But then came a time in high school when that started to change, puberty and then more self-conscious. Now started to recognize how some boys are getting the girls and I'm not getting the girls. And, how you got the cool kids over there and we're the nerds over here and nobody pays attention to us. And so you start to kind of get at least I noticed in my time, self-conscious. And what this does slowly is it becomes an imprint. And it makes very early on, like 16, 17, it makes the individual, if they don't get out of it, form a certain imprint about their identity that I'm not good enough and, I'm not likable. It's always the other kids who are talking on the podium and I'm just not a cool kid. So a lot of us, I once heard that by the time you're 17, that's basically your personality for life. It's quite amazing. By the time you're 17, you have sculpted your personality for the rest of your life. And when I heard this, I said, nah, okay, we'll see about that. We'll see about that. It's very inspiring. So I took this seriously. I said, okay, there's something about that statement. It is true that when you're at a certain age, you're sort of playing back that program, right? More or less, there's some changes. And I said, no, I'm going to do something different. What nobody does, what few people do. I'm going to do all the things that are extremely frightening, things that are extremely uncountable. I'm going to do this. So little by little, I found the courage to start random conversations with people, even though I had nothing in common with them, to go to Toastmasters, where you do public speaking, and then it kind of slowly starts to grow, and then now you're introduced to competing Toastmasters. So now you guys all come together, and then you all have to present. There were so many things that I decided to do that are just frightening and uncomfortable. Hanging out with the rich people, with the millionaires, because I always thought they're like gods. As a 23-year-old, you're like, they're like gods to you. So I started to make friends and go to a lot of business seminars and make friends with them. And I realized, end of the day, everyone's got the same needs. Like, I just want to connect. I want to be acknowledged. I want to make my life work, and I want to be happy. So it's basically behind all of that. Everyone's got the same needs, no matter who you go to. And that gives you so much confidence that you're not really that different from everyone else. You're just trying to make your life work too, trying to be happy, trying to have a good connection, good friends, have health. It's always the same, whether it's a simple Toastmaster, whether it's some woman or a man that you just met at a social party, some millionaire. It's always going to be the same. And that really brings you a certain level of confidence, right? That there's no higher or lower here. Everyone's just looking for that general basic connection. And this, it helps so much because you did something to come out of your comfort zone. And because you have done this, it carries a certain kind of imprint on you. He said, I went through all of that, so you can relax a little bit more. But through and through all of that, Karma Yoga says your dharma through and through remains always true. Samanya dharma, I never waver. That means it doesn't matter if it's a Toastmaster or a random person on the street or someone at a social party. What can I contribute in this situation? How is your night? What have you come here for? How are things going so far? What is the greatest lesson you've learned in life so far? I know it's a big question, but there's always something you can connect with. So this is Karma Yoga. Samanya Dharma. How can we both have some connection in this situation? What little can I contribute in this situation? So don't for a moment think that I have nothing to contribute. This is all those programs from the 17, 18-year-olds that we have acquired. It is simply not true. Okay, therefore, ahimsa, bharana, and prabhava. This is samanya dharma.
Since we are talking of ahimsa and samanya dharma, just small stuff from Mahatma Gandhi's thought. He once said that, whenever I am in doubt as to whether my action is good or bad, I think of the weakest, the meekest, the most oppressed person in my life. And then I think whether my action is going to do any good to that person or not. And then I get my answer.
This is Mahatma Gandhi's strategy. He's got his strategy. What's your strategy? That's the real question. What is your strategy to reconnect and do something little that you can?
I just wanted to say I appreciate this lesson and the value of contributing. I was wondering if you had any thoughts on, also sometimes I wonder if it requires some discernment to refrain from taking action or contributing if you know yourself enough to know that you're angry or not in a state of contributing, or maybe passivity is the best option in certain situations. So I guess how does one know what that balance is, that to contribute to the situation or they'll be detracting from the situation?
It's a good question, Thomas. Thomas says he's got a universal question. Sometimes we don't know what to do. There's a feeling of stuckness. I could even call it feeling of stuckness. And the stuckness can sometimes seem like a justifiable course of action. Like, let me just not do anything, because it can be comfortable. But the other times, I mean, I don't know what the situation is. It can be so many, right? You have to really assess what like, what do you want in a situation? Do you want connection? Do you want peace? Do you want, to bring things together, to kind of reconnect and have at least some connection between you two. Suppose there's no connection at all, whatever the situation is, and you want some connection, like some gratitude, some open heart, or whatever it is. Then you can, based on that, you can say, well, is my passivity really going to create that? Is it going to reconnect us? Is it going to recreate that gratitude between us? Probably not, right? Because then, you're carrying one thought, the other person's whatever it is, they're carrying a different thought. So as long as there's silence and there's no communication between two parties, then they're just going to carry on their own kind of program, right? So it's not really going to help. Other times, we don't know. See, the answer to this is not possible to give, because until you yourself try something different, but you have to try something different based on what is it that you want out of the situation. That has to be very clear. What do I want? Like more peace, more connection, more love, whatever it is, acknowledgement, an apology, a different kind of an explanation. I want to be heard. I want to be seen. Right? Whatever I don't know what it is, but based on that, then you ask yourself, is my passivity really facilitating that? Or is it just keeping me in this state of, no, nothing can be done, it's too late, I've exhausted all of my options. I get it. It's very easy to think like this because it's very comfortable. But according to the Gita, see, it's a very similar situation to Arjuna, isn't it? Should I just not act, Krishna? Should I just sort of not participate in this, in this life, the field of life? Should I just go back into the mountain, the Rishikesh, and just meditate and be passive and, and just feel like everything's okay and be with myself? And Krishna explicitly states no, because your passivity, Arjuna, is going to just keep on ruminating, cause you to ruminate deeper and deeper in these unresolvable situations, unless you go and participate and create new causes in the field that will help you to reveal the next step. It's like driving a car, right? If you get from A to B, you don't really know what's going to happen 1 kilometer until I slowly get there, right? So every 100 meters tells you what to do for the next 100 meters. So if I just stay in the car and I don't drive the car, then it's not possible to recognize what is to be done. So you have to take that leap of faith and sometimes just go and drive this instrument to the location and let that reveal what is to be done. That's the hard part, I get it. But there's something slightly small you can always do. And when you do it, then you will get a response from the world. You will get a response, a reply. That reply will let you know what's next. Therefore, the question cannot be quite answered until you do something different. I get it. Passivity can sometimes be the best option because, see, I'll give you an example. Sometimes relationships cause great amounts of unhappiness, even after, a breakup or something. And one of the reasons is because one or the other party, not talk about the other, but you refuse to move on. You refuse to let it go. There's always something, right, to kind of re-remember, a memory. And every time you re-remember, you almost water the seed and you make that plant even bigger, right? So there's a time where you just say, I have to move on. I have to just get busy with something else in my life, because the brain has no option but to ruminate unless you give it some big vision, like I said, a fallback. It has no choice but to ruminate on small things, especially the unpleasant things of life. This is what the brain does. I think we all notice this by now, but this is what the brain does. If it doesn't have some bigger thing, some project, something that keeps it busy, something that keeps its head above all of these small things, the past, the broken this, broken that, it's going to fall inevitably, it's going to fall for these small things of the past. And it's going to create a story. You know, I shouldn't act. I should, you know, it's hurtful. How dare he? How dare she? Or whatever it is. So you have to move forward. And the only way you can move forward is by taking a leap of faith. There's no other way. And that leap of faith sometimes just means just stopping this whole thing of past. Let it go. It was a nice chapter. You also have to tell yourself, when has that chapter ended for me? Has that chapter ended for me? Explicitly clear. Has this chapter ended for me with whatever it is, a job, a colleague, an employee, a business partner, whatever it is? If yes, you tell your mind, the chapter has ended. Move on. Because you are so much more than allowing yourself to be eaten up by these small petty things of the past. Really, you deserve so much more. And we cannot afford to be eaten up by these petty small things of the past. It just has no place. It's not fair for you. Move forward. That's how nature is. All animals, water, from the top of the mountain to the bottom, it just keeps moving forward. It doesn't know how to stop. Only we stop because we let ourselves, we stand in our own way. We stop ourselves. And then we create 1,000 different stories why it's justifiable and why it's okay to be in this place that I'm at. I believe, and I know for a fact, everyone has everything you need right now to create a great life for yourself, to think differently, to bring Ishvara into your life. Everyone has everything you need to manage your thoughts, to manage your health. If your health is not well, there is something that is given to you that you haven't thought of yet. It's given to you. You just have to find it. I believe that everyone here has the potential to make a difference to yourself, to make a difference to your perception, to your outlook on life, outlook of yourself, to connect even deeper with Ishvara's laws, to bring this order into your life, to manage your thoughts, to manage your body, to manage your health. Everything is given to you right now. There was not a time in human history where you were not given more than you're given right now. Truly, everything is given. So what will I use with the fact that everything I need is already within me? Everything I need is around me. All of the resources I need are right here. And I just have to take the call. I just have to say yes. Small thing I can say yes to. And then when you say yes to it, the world will reply to you. And then you'll be able to say whether I can continue saying yes, or do I want to change my course? Do I want to say no? So like this, it never stops. This is how life is. Life doesn't know how to stop. Only a human being knows how to stop through our own self-imposed limitations. Life moves forward. If we're not moving forward with life, then it comes in a form of stagnation, in a form of discontent, frustration, ruminating on the past. It means that I am not aligned to life. Life just keeps moving forward. Okay. Therefore, we can appreciate this this fact of movement forward, transformation. This is transformation. Therefore, karma yoga reminds us, right? What are my talents? What are my skills? And every time I align with those skills and talents, right? Hopefully, you've got your skills and talents. I don't know what they are. They bless you. They really do. Your skills and talents, they bless you. This is why I started out the conversation stating that at the Bhagavad Gita times, by the time you hear about karma yoga, you are already doing something. You already have some skills and talents in your life. So karma yoga becomes extremely relevant for that kind of a person to hear. So this means karma yoga is not about what do I do in life. This is to be figured out on your own. This has to be figured out on your own. Karma yoga is about knowing that I have this in my life. How do I conduct myself? How do I transform my life with the skills and the talents that I've got? Going to work is no longer about going to work anymore. You have a chance to enhance your communication. You have a chance to recognize there's a person in front of me who is a product of many causes, just like I am, who knows what suffering is, and empathy and loving just as much as I do, who knows what it means to be disappointed just as much as I do. So going to work now becomes a way to develop your empathy, to change your communication, to change your responses to people. No longer just, oh, I had to go to work. Therefore, karma yoga becomes a platform by which learning takes place. It transforms mundane things into learning opportunities. Smallest things become means for your inquiry, means for looking, things in a different, slightly different way. So it becomes a learning platform. That's what karma yoga does for us. Every challenge is no longer a challenge. It's an opportunity to reassess, redefine, explore different options. Every confrontation is a chance no longer to just, try to, get the problem solved, but rather to say, how am I responding right now? Am I making it about myself, or am I including the well-being of the other person? How am I responding right now? Is there high emotions in me? Am I responding from a place of clarity or a place where, my emotions are up to here? If they're up to here, then take some break. Don't respond. Okay, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying what it means to think differently. Because when the emotions are up to here, then no matter what you say, it's probably got more space for some clarity. Therefore, I would choose not to respond. I will respond tomorrow when my emotions come down. And then my clarity is able to, at least in the morning, come through. You see, so this is not some past thing. It's totally relevant to us right now. Okay? So aligning myself to dharma, and that very dharma that I'm aligning myself to, that is Ishvara. Think about this. We want Ishvara to be inside the temple, inside the church, inside some special place. The dharma that I am aligning myself to, the very laws, that is God manifesting as the laws, as dharma. So your whole devotion in respect to things changes. Now you're much more devotional in nature. Become more devotional. Because I'm asked by God what is to be done, and I'm responding in God. I'm never outside God. Now let's see what the next verse talks about karma yoga. And it was going to, again, summarize karma yogas, what karma yoga is about. Okay. 51. Karmajam buddhi yukta hi palam tyaktva manishinaha janma bandha vinirmuktaha padam gacchantya-namayam.
The wise, endowed with the attitude of karma yoga, having given up the results of action, free from the bondage of birth, indeed accomplish the end that is free from all afflictions.
What I want to do with this verse is just bring 2 points, what karma yoga is about. And 2 things make up karma yoga. So I'm just coming back to what we were saying as a summary. The first one is taking dharma, considering dharma into account before or through and through all of your actions. So every action is considering the well-being of yourself and the other person. Another way to call this is alignment to the laws. You're actively realigning yourself to the laws. Am I out of the laws? Am I coming out of my center? Am I not grounded? Let me come back. Let me get grounded. Now, in religious language, we call this Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. In religious language, see, this is more poetical language now. That's why we can say the same thing in 2 different ways, because one of them appeals to the emotions, the other one appeals to the intellect. So now we're speaking more emotional language. So Ishvara Arpana Buddhi is, if you, kind of imagine like, it's like an altar of Ishvara. And everything you ever do, you're giving to the altar of Ishvara, right? So obviously you're not going to give a, whatever it is, an alcoholic bottle or a bottle to, the altar of Ishvara. You're not going to give toxins to the altar of Ishvara. You're not going to give swear words to the altar of Ishvara. You're not going to give cheating and lying to the altar of Ishvara. You're going to bring because Ishvara sees through all of your offerings, right? So you're going to be very conscious, what are you bringing to the altar of Ishvara? So in that sense, it makes you very deliberate. What am I putting inside this body? And what am I giving to you, to the altar of Ishvara? What am I delivering? So in this sense, another kind of way to say this is, yes, it is an offering to Ishvara. Now, to offer to Ishvara, naturally, you want to offer to the best of your ability. You want to give the maximum of your, love and attention and, deliberation. You want to, just offer a place coming from a place of, let me serve you, like a child. You're serving a child who is innocent, who is, who you need to take care of. So in that sense, you become much more deliberate in your conversations with other people, with yourself. So suppose that you are that altar of Ishvara, because your body is an altar of Ishvara. How does this change your relationship to your own body now? For example, if you are the altar of Ishvara, then how does this change the relationship towards yourself? Such as when there are critical thoughts, when there are self-judgmental thoughts, thoughts of unworthiness, thoughts of smallness, how I can't, I'm not good enough. How does this change your relationship to your own body and your mind?
If I have this feeling like what you're saying, then I have to feel that, I'm part of the divine, and therefore whatever I host in me, in my mind, it cannot be small, it cannot be unpious, it cannot be a sin. It has to be very clean, neat, and worthy of being associated with Ishvara.
That's very nice. Clean and worthy of being associated to Ishvara. I like that. Very nice, Gautam. Clean, pure, gentle. Sometimes a self-hug. Have you ever self-hugged yourself? Self-hug. Come on, we can self-hug right now. Come on, see. What is this? Come on, self-hug. You're an altar of Ishvara. There. Okay, self-hug. Very nice. Because we hug everyone else, right? Sometimes we have to hug ourselves. So you're worthy of a self-hug. This is the point. Become more gentler towards yourself, more patient towards yourself. Ricky?
There's just a level of appreciation for everything. I mean, that's what I have discovered since, which is unfolding for me since I've started Vedanta, is just a love and appreciation for everything. I've got an ant at the moment crawling across, my computer. It's just like this. Lovely.
Yeah, it's amazing because you do appreciate it because you're given these lovely tools, lovely things, lovely people, lovely teachings, lovely teachers, lovely classmates. All of these things are coming together and making this right now. Kendall?
Yeah, just thinking like if being the altar, and the negative thoughts, typically old habits sort of hold on to those negative thoughts and just get caught in that cycle.
Yeah.
But now I guess with this new mindset, just let it go. Why would you keep something why would you hold on to something like that? So I think that's something big.
Yeah, indeed. And I know that letting go, it's an easy thing to say, isn't it? But I know it's not easy. So this is why I keep on saying we have a fallback. We have something larger in life to fall back on so that the mind doesn't keep on falling back on these smaller things. Okay, but I understand, yes. Letting go. In the perfect world, we would all love to do that, but letting go isn't so easy. I get that. So for that reason, we need, you know, some fallback in life. Okay. So everything now becomes an altar of Ishvara. Therefore, you're more gentler. But also, you know, we're not saying now a weak person. We're just saying, you know, there's a certain gentleness in your, you know, treatment towards yourself, a certain prayer. Oh, Lord, help me, you know, help me, help me. I need help, help me. Okay, you're willing to take the time out for yourself. If you're not feeling well, then you can walk out by yourself. Take the time out for yourself sometimes, you know, get to know yourself. Get to know yourself. This is a lovely thing to do, to get to know one's needs. What are my personal needs? I don't have to communicate them to the world. What are my needs? And I can spend time for myself once in a while and you know, help myself, help this instrument to make it through life. Altar of Ishvara. Okay. Now, in the same way, we also have the second kind of language, which is prasada, Ishvara prasada buddhi. So the first aspect of karma yoga was Ishvara arpana buddhi. This means alignment to the laws. Everything is being given to Ishvara. That's emotional language. Everything is being given to the altar of Ishvara. That is emotional language. Alignment to the laws, compliance with samanya dharma, that is intellectual language. The second aspect of karma yoga is emotional language, Ishvara prasada buddhi. Now, prasada means it is like a little wrap, you know, a personal gift sent just for you to unwrap and to work your things out, because we all get these personal gifts from you know, from the world in the form of results. Now, just to help us connect a little bit more, see, we keep on saying that karma yoga is recognizing that I keep getting these results from the world, right? 4 types of results: more of, less of, equal to, or opposite. That's a fact for all of us. And this becomes, we keep on saying this gives you equanimity, right, of the mind, because it's not like you're only going to get exactly what you want and more of. That's not true. You're also going to get opposite and less of. And we say because you understand that fact of life, it gives you more samatvam, more equanimity, more, you know, general composure of life. Now, we already explained that. That was intellectual explanation. Now, I want to give you more emotional explanation. How is it that you remain equanimous or composed during these kinds of results in life? So imagine someone gives you, suppose you're diabetic, right? Or you got sensitivity with sugar, or you're just not into sugar. And someone gives you a sweet. And you say, sorry, I'm not into, I don't, so no, thank you. It's not for me. I'm not into sweets, right? However you said, right? I'm diabetic or whatever. Possible, right? Okay. Now they immediately follow it. No. You know, this is from the Tirupati temple. This is from a very special place. This comes from a priest who has blessed this, who has inculcated this with special blessings. This sweet is special. It's from a most precious temple you can find in India or whatever it is. What happens immediately to your attitude towards this sweet that is being offered to you? What happens? You see this? It's still the same sweet, isn't it? The sweet hasn't changed. But what has changed? Your attitude has changed. Immediately you say, oh, okay, I'll have the sweet now. So now you eat the sweet. Now, does that mean that you know, you're going to have another sweet? No, it doesn't mean. But at least this time I can take this, even though I know it's not good for me, I can take it once and I can be okay with it. Yeah, someone waved il. Well, your wife, right? She waved, I saw. So this means now, right, that it's coming from a special offering. It's coming from the Lord, the altar of Ishvara. I can be a lot more receptive towards these, you know, these random things that come into my life. So this means that your attitude changes in respect to how the world replies to you. The first one is how you reply to the world. That's Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. How you reply to the world is Ishvara Prasada Buddhi. And how is that you reply to the world? With a certain composure, a certain attitude, a certain equanimity. That is not there to hurt me, it's just there to help me respond differently, giving you an opportunity to transform your life in that moment. Therefore, nothing becomes sort of this thing to make my life hard. Rather, it becomes a platform for a lesson to take place. A lesson to take place, a learning to take place. In that sense, results become your friends. Hard times become your friends. Really, good times become your friends. So this is karma yoga. And then the verse asks, and what are the benefits, right? It says release free from, freedom from bondage. What are the benefits of karma yoga? Well, I'll give one. One of them is, right, you go from a state of isolation, right? I am an individual in this world getting from the world. You're not getting from the world. All that is here is one intelligence from which is just reshuffling, reorganizing itself. And this is what has happened from this standpoint. Now I have to deal with it to the best of my ability. I have to think intelligently and think solution mode. What is next? This has happened. What now? What is next to be done in this moment? In that sense, you retain your objectivity, you retain your composure, you retain your sense of your duty. What needs to happen to bring things back down to earth so we can get back on track? That's one of them. Another benefit of karma yoga is it removes this sense of complaining mode. Because if you analyze complaining, what is complaining? What is complaining? Like, how does complaining happen? If we were to analyze complaining, what is complaining? It's so much, right? It's just not knowing where to turn. Lorena, what can you tell us about complaining?
It's not meeting your needs. Whatever the situation has arisen, it hasn't met your likes.
Okay.
And then it becomes a dislike. So.
Okay, very nice, very nice. It's not meeting our needs. My needs are not being met right now. So the truth is, are your needs ever going to be met? That's a utopian dream we have to get out of. That is a 17-year-old kid still talking. I want, sing happy birthday. You missed my happy birthday song. How dare you? That was over, man. Okay, it had its place. I know it's nice to be acknowledged like that, but once in a while you have to let go that people are not supposed to, constantly keep their eye on you. This is, the privilege of a mother. The mother kept eye on us. The father kept eye on us, especially the mother. This is gone. This we have to move forward. So this means that one goes from complaining. That means my needs are not being met. The weather is not good enough. The food is not good enough. My friends are not good enough. My friends are not smart enough. They're not inspiring enough. The people around me that I'm with, they're not talkative enough. They're not engaging enough, not participatory enough. They're not kind of, patient enough, not X enough. So this, right, is complaining. So by recognizing, first of all, that the world is not here to fulfill my needs. I am here to fulfill my needs, and I cannot give others a hard time to fulfill my needs. It's not fair because they also have unfulfilled needs. So this means you go from complaining into more of a gratitude. That means everything, truly, this is not a belief, truly everything you need, what is most important is already provided. The most essentials are provided to you. The sunlight is provided, air is provided, food is provided, basic clothing and warmth is provided, basic chair and a table is provided, basic space to move and stretch yourself is provided, a basic bed to rest the body is provided. The most essentials are provided. Your nature is already eternal, that is provided. It's already limitless. That is provided. It will never cease. It's already provided. It is unborn. It is already provided. It has no karma. That's already provided. It has no merits or demerits. That's already provided. You cannot and you will never die. That is already provided. You will exist eternally. That is already provided. There's only good things that are going to happen from now on. That is already provided. You're taken care of because you got a Gita in your life. That is already provided. You got basic people in your life. That is already provided. Internet for basic communication is already provided. It's like so, the most essentials are provided. And they are free. Usually they are free. But what costs? The non-essentials, right? A big watch, super expensive car, right? The non-essentials are provided. The non-essentials cost. Facilitated by the great marketers. Of course, they have to do their thing, you know. Buy your deodorant, buy your shampoo. Otherwise, your hair is not going to look pretty. Here, shampoo X, the X formula. Buy. You don't really need X formula or Y formula. You just need basic shampoo. So basic shampoo is provided. The X formula, you don't really need. So everything is provided. That is a fact right now. The knowledge is already provided. The pramana is provided. The guru is provided. The attention and the care that you need to make it through life is provided. At least I'm providing it. That's my duty. Everything is provided. Therefore, what will I do with this? Will I use it and just kind of focus on the nitty-gritty, the little things of life that don't really matter? Or appreciate, as was it Ricky who said, appreciate what is provided, make the best use of it, and help myself, help those around me. Do something little that I can for myself and those around me to flourish. At least 5% more, 1% more is better than no percent. Therefore, it is all given to you. Yeah, so it's not shampoo I need, it's hair. So definitely. Now hair, also you got some hair formulas, right? They got some growing hair formulas that's also provided, but you don't really have to use that, okay? So this means I can be okay without hair. You can put a fake wig on or something like that if you don't like it. So everything is given to us. So we need to appreciate this. If we don't appreciate this, then, as I said, the mind falls back onto its default program. So let's help our minds. Okay, so karma yoga is there to facilitate this journey in life. It turns journey of life into a nice learning platform where everything is your lesson, is a lesson for you, a chance to progress, to move forward. And therefore, the next verse, verse 52, it says, karma yoga leads to moksha. Verse 52, yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarishyate tada gantasi nirvedam shrotavyasya shrutasya cha.
When your intellect crosses over the impurity of delusion, then you shall gain a dispassion towards what has been heard and what is yet to be heard.
What is karma yoga? Again, it is a means by which, right, learnings take place, by which you help yourself and help those around you. That means your intellect is sharpened, your emotions are matured. And here in the verse, it says, it thereby, because your intellect gets purified and you become much more mature and giving, a contributor in life, you cross over many delusions called moha. I just call them mini delusions. There's maha moha, the great delusion, and there's mini mohas. Because see, you cannot cross the great moha, right, of self-knowledge until I cross mini mohas. That means I have to take care of my little, my quirks and my, complaints, and, I have to kind of do something in this world, be a contributor in this world. You have to have some relative self-confidence in yourself as a human being before the knowledge can take place. Otherwise, if I don't even have, self-worth as a basic human being, how will I have self-worth to recognize myself as the whole thing in whom the entire universe resides? It doesn't make sense. So there has to be some relative self-worth of the individual. Therefore, karma yoga helps you cross over, firstly, many delusions, many quirks, many issues, many erroneous notions, and thereby you gain enough clarity to ask two fundamental questions. In fact, you've probably been asking these questions for a long time, but now these two questions become so much more relevant to you. And what are they? The first one is, what will give me permanent, final fulfillment? Not temporary fulfillment, not momentary, transitory, permanent, final fulfillment. Fulfillment that has no higher fulfillment. What will give me that permanent fulfillment? Now, if you look at that question carefully, what will give me permanent fulfillment? The answer is already in the question. That which is permanent will give me permanent fulfillment. How can that which is changing give me what is permanent? Because just to change from one to the other, already it implies it's not perfect. Why would perfection change from state A to state B? If something is perfect, why does it need to undergo a change? Why does it need to go into something different if it's already perfect? You get the logic of this? So therefore, perfection, can you therefore, through this logic, find perfection on earth, anywhere on earth, any place, anytime, anywhere? Look at this. I want to find true love, true love. Well, just the fact that you want to find it, and even if you do come inside, you find some love, day one of that love is going to be different from day two with that person. So just the fact that there is a change from one to the other, that means 1 day or 2 days was enough to let you know it's not true love, because it already changed. It changed state from this to that. Therefore, what will give me perfection? What will give me that which is perfect? It cannot be true love. It cannot be anything in this world, because anything that you find in this world, brilliance of the mind, perfection of the health, it cannot be perfect by the very virtue that tomorrow, if you don't exercise your mind for 1 day, already it starts to dwindle in its capacities. Therefore, you will not find perfection anywhere, anytime, any place in the world. It's impossible, because it changes. Everything in the world changes. Perfection does not change. It has no capacity to change, because perfection means it's perfect. There's no need for change at all. So then the question is, what is available that is perfect? Before we get into that, Bao has a hand up. Please unmute.
Chapter 10, Vibhuti Yoga. The Lord himself puts himself with the best of everything. Sarpanamasmi Vasuki.
Is this from chapter 11?
Chapter 10, Vibhuti Yoga.
Chapter 10. Chapter 10.
Yoga. Yeah.
So even vibhutis, right? Vibhutis, right? If it's one vibhuti, if it's one glory, it's not another glory. So yes, Krishna is showing different vibhutis, but if I see a most amazing rainbow, I'm not seeing the most amazing sun. So still, it's not really perfect. Then the rainbow is not perfect because it's not the sun, and the sun is not the rainbow. So no matter how beautiful a vibhuti I am shown, at any time, any place, I'm never shown perfection. So then the question is, if you cannot be shown perfection, because just by the very virtue of seeing one, I'm not seeing another. If I get my little, light in the Ajna chakra, and I see that as, whatever it is, God or something, then I don't see it the next moment. That's a change too. So it cannot be perfection. So then what is perfect? And according to Krishna, only self is perfect. There's something about you that is perfect, but it cannot be that which is not perfect, which is the mind, which is your thoughts, which is your emotions, which is your concerns, or your knowledge, or your doubts, or anything that is related to your mind. It cannot be perfect. So what is this self? Self, we said, is ajaha. Ajaha means it is unborn. So this means there was never a time at some point when the true you, the true self, was born at some point, where it just evolved, you know, where you go to these clairvoyants or sometimes these readers, and they will say, your soul, Mr. or Mrs., was born for the first time ever in 1568. Wow. So I didn't exist before then? No, you didn't exist. You were born, you're a new soul. You're a new soul. And this fellow over there, he's an old soul. There's no new or old soul, by the way, here. And the word soul refers to the subtle body, which is not born ever also. So the subtle body was never born, but I'm not talking about the subtle body now. I'm talking about you, the self, Atman. So Atman is unborn. Now, if you were never born, can you ever die? No. Only what is born can die. Lorena?
There's no gain or loss.
What is unborn can never therefore gain or lose something because it was never born. It means and whatever is born is a form. So it has a form, and whatever has a form can therefore gain onto itself and can lose out. But that which is unborn, which was always true, which always is, cannot ever be more or less, because it is simply the truth of all things. Self is also nitya. It is eternal. Because it is unborn, it therefore always is. It's always true. There's never a time when it is not true. So there is never a time when you will cease to exist. You can't cease to exist because your nature is nityam, eternal. Your nature is shashvatam. Shashvatam in Sanskrit means you're not subject to modification. What does change, what does modify in the presence of you is your body and your thoughts, including this, right, conversation now that's going on. It's all changing. It's all just passing through, right? The conversation is going to end in a couple of minutes, and then your body is going to cook something, and then it's going to swallow some food, and then it's going to pet the dog, you know, and then it's going to smile, it's going to watch the movie, and then it's going to sit down and take a rest. So many changes are going to be happening, but there is one underlining, non-changing presence that's always going to be there in every changing experience, and that is I. I am, I am, I am. I am in the, you know, a normal state of mind. I am there. In the joyful state of mind, I am there. In the not so joyful state of mind, I am there. In a peaceful state of mind, I am there. In a worried state of mind, I am there. In the, you know, in a state of mind of thinking and, you know, planning, I'm always there. There's always one true presence that is through and through all these changing phenomena of the states of minds. You are Purana. Purana means ever fresh and ever new. Purana also means ancient. So if you are ever fresh and ever new, that means that there is never a time that anything ever got attached onto you. Nothing ever got sort of stuck onto you, and now you're sort of, you know, kind of carrying that around. You are ever fresh, ever new. That means you're always the same. You're always that perfect, unborn, eternal presence that cannot change except to be the unchanging, unborn, eternal perfection. Perfection means it is already true. It doesn't get tainted. It doesn't get changed. And that just happens to be you right now. Okay, you are, and we say actionless. Now, actionless means that, see, the nature of the self is all pervading, like space. There's no place where space is not. All right, space is here. Space is inside this cup. Space is inside your house. That same space is inside this house. But also the space is accommodating your house, and it's accommodating my house. And it's accommodating this entire world, and it's accommodating this entire universe. So like space, it is all pervasive. There's no place where space is not, because it is that which accommodates everything, but it doesn't get tainted or contaminated, or it doesn't get tainted by what it accommodates. So Atma, we say, is like space. You are all pervasive. And because you're all pervasive, can you move? Can Atma truly move if it's all pervasive? Can space move? Space can't move because it is already everywhere. There is no place where space is not. But then if space is not, if you are not moving, then suppose that, you, right, your body mind is like this cup. Then why is it that, right, if your body and mind is, suppose this is your body and mind, if it's inside space, why does it feel like I am moving? Now I am moving from here to here, when in actuality, your body is moving inside you, right? The all-pervasive space, which is also inside there, okay? Now that is because of the presence of this cup, which we in Sanskrit call upadi. Upadi is the, it's a form that gives you an impression, gives you, the total space, an impression that you are moving from here to here. But you're not moving from here to here because you're already waiting over here. It's only in reference to the cup that there is an apparent change, okay? This is because of a certain kind of a phenomena that you and I fall for. And that phenomena is true for all of us. And it's okay. You can be okay with that. My body can move inside me, but I don't ever move. So the fact that I don't ever move, that is a cognitive understanding. It's not an experience, because this cup, right? What is there to experience? The space is already okay over there. The space is already over here. What is there to experience? It's already the space. You understand? You already, suppose you're the space. You're already the space. So how can you experience something new if you are already the total space? So in that sense, the space here, right, is never going to suddenly experience itself as something different, because it's already the same space as the total space. The total space, which is all pervasive, in whom the entire universe is the very same space that is inside here. Now, when we bring this to you, we just turn that word into awareness, right? So the awareness that is as though isolated inside your physical body is the exact same awareness that is accommodating this entire universe of names and forms. And therefore, awareness will never experience me, the all-pervasive awareness, as something different, because I'm already here, right? I'm already here. Now, whether I'm here or whether I'm there, it's the exact same awareness, okay? Therefore, the wise cup, what does the wise cup do? It comes to accept that even though I seem to be confined over here, in actuality, I am not confined at all, because the space here is the exact same space as the total space of all. The space inside you is the same space inside me. The space inside me is the same space inside the Buddha. The same space inside Buddha is the same space inside every single Swami. That space is same inside every single, whatever, saint that you want to name. It's the exact same I am. The exact same I am.
Can I say what you just said? Can I say that the world is inside me, the whole world?
Yeah, so as long as you are very clear what the word me refers to, okay? I generally avoid speaking like this because there's no need to say it. I can appreciate that this body is inside the world is inside, Ishvara. Ishvara is inside awareness. So you can kind of say it like this, as long as you're very clear what do you mean when you say me. And often I don't speak like this because it can sound quite to other people, right? It can sound a little bit like, arrogant, something. Who are you? You're speaking about your body.
Yeah.
So usually I'll say things like, this body is inside awareness, right? So that much is okay. The universe is inside awareness. And my truth is that very awareness, like that.
Like for instance, when I'm driving, I don't feel that my being is moving.
Yeah.
So the car is moving, but my being, my true being, who I am,
yeah,
the real me,
yeah,
is not moving.
yeah,
So I read somewhere that is, it's because the world is inside me. So I
yeah.
cannot be moving. So
Sure. So in that sense, you are not moving. In that sense, your body is moving, but
yeah,
the awareness that is the I am that's illuminating my thoughts is the same I am that's illuminating your thoughts.
it's there. The car is there, but your spirit, your awareness, Brahman, it's not moving. It feels just, it's a fact.
Yeah, it's a fact. I wouldn't even say it feels, because feeling is an experience generated by your body and mind. So it's simply,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
simply a cognitive understanding. Yeah. So whenever we say, I feel I'm not moving, I feel that the whole universe is inside me. I feel that, I'm not Andre. I feel all of this feeling stuff, immediately stop. This is all, still your, what we call your manoma, your mind. This is still your mind feeling things, but in the presence of whom is all of that. But awareness enables that feeling to take place. Awareness enables that feeling to take place.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that's why I keep saying it's a cognitive knowledge. It's never going to be an experience. It's never going to be a feeling or a sensation or some kind of a magical thing, because it's just simply a matter of understanding what is. We say that, it's slightly technical here. We say that reality is called Vastu Tantra. Now look at this, very important. Vastu Tantra. Vastu Tantra. So what is this? Okay, it's a ceramic cup, right? That's a fact. Okay, that is a fact. It's a red ceramic cup. Now, suppose I want this to be, suppose I've got a problem against ceramic and I want this to be a metal cup. And I say, no, this is a metal cup. It is green. It's a green metal cup. Is my statement, is my feeling how this is an amazing green metal cup, all this emotion, is that going to have any bearing on the fact of what this really is? No. So how I feel, does that affect the reality of this? Suppose I feel this is metal and special and divine and magical. That's my stuff. It's got nothing to do with the cup. The cup is just red and it's ceramic. So if I don't like a ceramic cups and I want this to be a concrete or a steel cup, whose problem is that going to be? That's going to be your problem. And that's going to manifest in the form of resistance towards towards reality. Because reality is one thing, but I'm feeling something else towards the reality. I want this to be a magical feeling. I want this to enact a certain amount of, passion, and I want to feel the presence of the cup. That's never going to happen. That's my stuff. So what I have to do is I have to align to the fact. What is the facts? The fact is this reality is independent of what I think about what this is. So I have no choice but to align my understanding to what this actually is, which is a red ceramic cup. If it's slightly out, then I am living in a delusion. And I'm saying this is a metal red cup. It's not metal, my friend. It is a ceramic red cup. Therefore, we say that Atma, you, self, are Vastu Tantra. You have no choice but to understand Atma as it is. And what is Atma? Unborn, eternal, never changes, perfect, limitless, and ever new, ever fresh. All pervading, doesn't move. you have no choice but to accept and to not accept it, but to understand that is who you are. To connect to those words, not just go, oh, okay, Atma is all pervasive. I accept that, Andre. Thank you very much. To actually come to a point where there's no doubt about it anymore. This is so important, I tell you. Atma is Vastu Tantra. The reality is Vastu Tantra. So my mind has no choice. It cannot say, I want to feel, Atma as this, special thing that's everywhere. I want to feel everywhere right now. Whose problem is that? Who wants that? One individual. No. Atma is already true right now as your ordinary, everyday, common, unchanging amness in all of your experience, in all of your experiences. That I need to align this intellect to. Until that happens, I will be in resistance. Atma is like this, Atma is like that, but what about that? Therefore, the whole course is about alignment to what is.
I have a question. So, as you said, the permanent fulfillment. So Atma is already, as you said, it doesn't change. It's eternal. I mean, the fulfillment isn't it for the mind-body complex itself, and then mind-body itself is not eternal. Then once you have that true fulfillment, which you say, then the body and mind is also going to go away. Then what about this true fulfillment? Like,
okay, I got the question. Your question demands some time, some explanation. I need a few minutes, but I'll tell you the essence now. So when they say, why do you have true fulfillment? This is very important. Why do you get true fulfillment when you know yourself as Atma, as the true self who you are? The reason is because you recognize that the subject, okay, the wanter, the person called Andre, the person called Ashish, whatever you want to call them, and the object that you keep on wanting for your fulfillment. This is how we are in the world. We always want an object to fulfill me, the subject. The subject wants an object to fulfill the subject. So there's always this two thing, right? Two thing going on. So now, how does moksha? So before I go there, so this means that constantly the subjects in this world chasing for an object. I, the subject, love the object. That is an object of what I want. And what happens when a subject and an object merge, when they come together? What happens? Temporarily, you forget about your problems. You forget about the wanter. You forget about the subject. You forget about all of these notions that I'm not good enough. That goes away. Isn't this true? Is this how you experience it? This is what every single person in the world is chasing for, constantly linking the subject with an object so that temporarily, when they're together, there is this resolution. And when there's a resolution, there is no wanter, there is no small person, there is no insecure person, there is no unhappy person. Temporarily, I am at one with myself, and there is no sense of wanting anymore. Now, this doesn't last, unfortunately. So then again, there's a separation, and then the subject wants another object to come together. This is how all drugs work. This is why drugs are so popular, because they guarantee this resolution immediately. So the whole life ends up merging the subject and the object temporarily so that I forget about my problems, and there is only the non-dual awareness. There's only non-dual me, which doesn't need anything. Now, how does moksha solve this merger permanently? How does it solve it? Because there is still an I, there's still a Jivan Mukta's body, and there's still an object. So what does a Jivan Mukta understand who's wearing a body that causes him or her to have permanent fulfillment, even though they don't have, the love of their life, they don't have, the fancy toys in their life? What makes the Jivan Mukta have permanent fulfillment? The understanding that the subject and the object, they are one. There's no essential difference between the two. The nature of the subject is awareness. The nature of the object is awareness. So what am I really seeking? The same substance through and through all things. Before, the subject was different from the object. So therefore, to complete the subject, I have to merge with the object. Now I am big. When moksha takes place, cognitively, I recognize the one-ter, the person called Andre, and that which is wanted, the whoever it is, whatever it is, there is no essential difference between us. It's just a manifestation of Ishvara, manifestation of Ishvara. Ishvara has no reality apart from awareness. The whole thing is Ishvara. The whole thing is a play of intelligence, whose truth is awareness, which is also my truth. This, a Jivan Mukta recognizes constantly, unceasingly, effortlessly. Therefore, the whole search for more ends. Because why are you searching for this? That's why we're all searching. There's no other reason to search. Think about this. There's no other reason to go in this world than to get this, a temporary merger. Now, when the merger is recognized, the subject and the object are both one. What is there to merge with? Who is there to merge with? Therefore, it is permanent fulfillment for the Jivan Mukta. And the second question that is to ask is, what should I do in this situation? So the first one is, what is the only thing that will give me permanent and final fulfillment? Is the recognition that I'm already here. There's nothing missing. I'm already complete and the whole thing right now. And the second, which karma yoga allows you to ask with clarity and gain those precise answers to, which is, what should I do in this situation? And the answer, as we spoke already, is whatever I do things, I include the well-being of this person, and therefore we can both have some transformation, some growth, and we can have a productive coming together. Therefore, this sums up verse 52. And the next verse, 53, it will now go further into recognizing this Atma and Anatma. So next week, we will go into the method of Atma, Anatma, Viveka. So how do I come closer? How do I come to this place of recognizing what is that which is unchanging and what is changing?